off this review by saying that some recent reviews are going to be late. So like Justice League, I'm seeing that tomorrow, so I will hopefully have that up by Tuesday. Punisher, I still haven't finished it yet, but I will get that up soon. I did want to apologize for that. But I was able to watch the show Future Man, which came out a couple weeks ago, I know that, but I just found it, and I was like, you know what, I'll check it out. It's a Seth Rogen show. I'm a big fan of Seth Rogen and his work, and so I was like, you know what, I'll check this out. And I thought, you know what, it came out a while ago, but I still think I should talk about it. So Future Man is basically about this guy, played by Josh Hutcherson, named Josh Futterman, and he's like this, I wouldn't really say deadbeat, but he's kind of a normal guy, but his life really isn't going anywhere. He works as a janitor at like this top-notch medical research facility. He still lives with his parents. He doesn't have a girlfriend. His only friends are like two people that work at a video game shop. So basically his life is going nowhere, but the one thing he is good at is this video game. I think it's called the Biotic Wars, and basically he's great at this game. Nobody has ever beat it before, and so eventually one day he does beat the game. He's the very first person in the world to beat it, and basically, as it turns out, the game was really a simulator sent from the future to see who was worthy enough to beat it, and this guy is, because he has the ability to save the future. And so these two people come back and they basically recruit him to help stop someone in his time who is going to end the world in a near distant future. And so the show is about their adventures of them jumping. It's like the 40s, the 80s, the 90s, the future, the present, and them just trying to fix whatever happens. And along the way, they learn a life lesson and cause a lot of destruction. I'm not gonna lie, the marketing for like the main trailers, the one trailer I liked was one where it was like a behind the scenes with Seth Rogen and Josh Hutcherson. I think they showed that at Comic-Con. It was where those two were talking about what the show was. It was like 2 minutes long. I love that trailer. I thought it was great. But then they released one about a month or two ago that was for the actual show. Like it was a real trailer, and I didn't like it. I thought the show was just gonna be Seth Rogen he was a big player in what this show was and how it came to be. And so if you know who Seth Rogen is, or at least know of his work, you know what it's like. And so lately it's kind of been the same thing since Sausage Party, just the weird dick and butt jokes, farts and stuff. And so when I saw this trailer, the second trailer for the show, I was like, oh, it's going to be this kind of show? I mean, I had the ability to be great, and I was like, dang it, that's sad that it's going to be like this kind of show where it's like everything is a fart joke or, a penis joke, which it is, but it's not as bad as I think the trailer made it look. Let's start with the good things before I really dive deep into like what bothered me about the show. Okay, the first good thing is the show, each episode, there are 13 episodes, and each episode is under 30 minutes long. There's one episode, I think it's in the middle of the season, that's only 35 minutes long, but other than that, each episode is always under like 30 minutes, and I think that's great. I think Marvel, I like the Marvel TV shows, but, looking at the reason why I haven't been able to, finish Punisher and review it, like, since last week is because it's so long. It's a long show. It's 13 episodes, and each one is, like, 50 minutes long, and I don't have that time to, sit down for a whole entire day and just binge that show. That's more than half a day. But the thing about this show is that you can sit down and finish it before, like, the afternoon. So I think that's one thing I really liked about the show was that I was able to finish it quickly and, learn the story throughout the whole season. I also like Josh Hutcherson. I liked him in the first two Hunger Game movies. He wasn't bad in the last two Hunger Game movies. I just didn't care for those as movies altogether. I thought those two were just a waste of time. But from what I've seen of his work, I've actually liked him. He definitely is a short guy, which is really funny, and they joke about that a lot in the TV show, but he was really good in the show. He really did a good job at playing the role of a character who is like so divided on what to do, because I don't want to give too much away about who the bad guy is, but he knows the bad guy, and he's like, oh, well, do I kill this bad guy, or do I try and spare him so he can stay alive? And it's really interesting for him to, balance between, oh, I need to save the future, and oh, is this the right thing to be doing? He really just does a good job at playing this role. Everyone else was fine in the show. Ed Begley Jr. was in it. He was good. I liked him. Other than that, nobody else really, stand out-ish. All of them played their roles fine, which it's not bad, but it's not great. I think the things that bothered me most about the show is, and there are going to be no spoilers, but it's 13 episodes long, like I said, and then literally it feels like any episode could have been placed anywhere, because it follows that same path of like where, the first episode is like, just the first episode in each show where like, the character learns something and he or she get ready for their adventure. But then I felt like the second and third episode, those could have been the last two episodes. Obviously the last episode tied everything up, But like it felt like throughout the show they kept setting things up, oh, this is getting to the end. Oh, nope, now it's not at the end. It's like the characters get a rise over the bad guys, but then the bad guys somehow come out on top and they're like, oh, we're at square one again. And then they do the same thing where it's like, oh, we got, we're higher than the bad guys now. We know what we're going to do. And then the bad guys go back up on top and it's like, oh, come on, and it's the same thing over and over again. And I'm not even joking. I was already on like episode 5 and I'm like, oh my God, how many times are they going to do this? And it was crazy. It really was. It was like each episode somehow something happened where the heroes were up on top, but then by the end of the episode, the bad guys were on top. It was kind of crazy and it was a little strange and it was kind of annoying at parts too. There are also some episodes that would drag a bit. Like I think it was episode 10 or 11. It's one where one of the main guys, it's his backstory about how he became a chef. I didn't really care for that episode. I just felt like it was a bit of a drag, and it wasn't really that entertaining. And sometimes the jokes don't really land. I mean, there are a lot of jokes about possum semen, which was really strange. I don't know why they do that. But yeah, most of the time, those jokes didn't really land, and sometimes they did, but sometimes they didn't. And that's just not only talking about the possum semen jokes. That was with most of the jokes. Sometimes they landed, and sometimes they didn't. Where I could die laughing, or I could just be like, oh, next scene. So I don't know. I mean, it definitely falls under that Seth Rogen humor, but you also have to think, okay, well, who else's humor is this that they're, because they obviously didn't write the show he and Evan Goldberg didn't write the show by himself. So I don't know. The jokes didn't always land. I think if you like Josh Hutcherson, you like a futuristic sci-fi element, and you have Hulu and you like Seth Rogen, you'll like Future Man. You really will, but if you don't like that kind of stuff, of which I just talked about, that I liked, or the things that bother me, you're not going to like this show. So don't waste your time with it. But I think I'm going to give Future Man a 5 out of 10. It's a good show. It has some issue. Well, I wouldn't say some issues, but it has a good amount of issues. But I wouldn't. It's worth the watch if you're in the right mood. Thank you all so much for listening. If you've liked what you listened to on here and you want to listen to more, go like, comment, and subscribe. That would be really helpful and I would really appreciate it. The links to all my social medias are listed down below in the description. Other than that, this has been A Talk in Depth.